Hey, show everybody at home your stinger.
All right, here it is.
Hey now!
It's a big game for me because I want to see my team move on. It's a big game for the guys out here.
There needs to be some leadership amongst the players for Hudson, and I didn't see it. I mean, sure, they beat Medina, but there was times the minute that Medina did something in that game, the whole sideline went silent like it was a wake over there.
But you keep saying they're going to come back and they got the best quarterback in the area.
They certainly do have the best quarterback in the area. But
Nick Canarum, I still think you're the best in the county, baby.
Give me the dirty 30. I only need 30 kids. I don't need any more than 30 kids. The rest of them, pack your lunch and go play your flute.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome once again to One Man Show. I'm your host, your Z-Man, Z Zoltai. Part one of tonight's One Man Show will feature video footage of one of my many guest appearances on Brunswick City Schools' TV 22 show, The Beat, and it's a sports roundtable discussion with members of the media. Tonight, you'll see me go toe-to-toe with Brad Bournival of the Morning Journal, as well as the show's host, Grant Relic. Then, part two of One Man Show tonight will feature video footage of high school football playoff action, and it will be with the Highland Hornets. Highland High School is located out in Granger Township in eastern Medina County. We'll watch the Hornets battle the Cougars of Sylvania Southview in part two of our show. And then part three tonight, everybody's favorite part, the mailbag. That's right. I'll read to you some of the letters and questions that I received from the viewers of One Man Show. Sit back and enjoy. Part one is about to begin. Wait. Before we go to my guest appearance on TV 22's show, The Beat, I just wanted to share with you that your Z-Man, again, has won yet another award for this television program, One Man Show, from the cable television industry. So many thanks to the people who voted One Man Show, not only as far as being nominated, but everybody then that voted to bestow this award on the television program. Next here, though, TV 22. I sit in with Brad Bournival and Grant Relic next here on One Man Show.
Grant Relic, and we still have Z Zoltai and Brad Bournival. We're talking about the midway point of the football season. And the only school we haven't talked about at the moment is Black River in Medina County. What's going on with them?
Injuries. They have 7 starters out. They had 9 starters out 2 weeks ago. Now they have 7 starters out. He's pulling his hair. He's pulling his hair because he sees what he's got. He's got a bunch of sophomores. Again, it sounds like Medina, but he's got a bunch of sophomores that are really good. He's got a freshman class that went undefeated last year and in 7th grade, both teams in 7th grade. He's just waiting. Like he said at the beginning of the year, once he lost those first 2 games, it got blown out both times. He said, you know what? They got to learn sometime. Just throw every sophomore in there and we'll build for the future. If he can stay healthy, not this year, it's not going to happen. But next year, he said 10-0 next year. He did say 10-0. He might be drinking a little pirate juice, but I'm thinking 8-2, 7-3 next year, 10-0 the following year.
But what they can't afford to do, Brad, is lose to a Brookside.
If they lose to Brookside, they're done.
What they can't afford to do is even lose one of the 2 to Wellington or Buckeye. I know they're both tough teams, but if you're ever going to knock off the Dukes in that backyard rivalry, this would be the year. This is a Wellington team that doesn't quite have the firepower. They've lost some tight football games. They still play decent defense, but you look at the schedule, they've got 2 wins combined for the next 2 weeks in their opponents, and then they finish up against Brooklyn and Keystone, 2 football teams that are still, so-so sub-500 clubs. So I think that, you point in as much as you point to next year, you've got to win more than 2 of your remaining games.
And I think they will because the Stars division.
If you're Al Young.
The Stars division is pathetic this year. Sorry, guys. Really
what was that word again?
Pathetic.
That means pathetic. Not so good, huh?
Yeah, pathetic athletic conference is actually what we call it at work. So.
Well, wow. you mentioned these teams that are playing a lot of sophomores, and the theory is the sophomores are going to get better by the time they're seniors. But sometimes when you play a lot of sophomores, you get used to losing. If you're losing, and there was a great line years ago by a guy named Al Van Wee, the former College of Worcester basketball coach. When I was in school, they said to him, Coach, you were 3-15 this year, but next year you got everybody back. He says, when you're 3-15, you don't want anybody back. So you got to be careful, you know, when you're playing,
all
those sophomores. But we were talking at the break a little bit about Nordonia. Nordonia's still at 4-1, sitting in that 4th spot, and they've kind of done it without their big-time quarterback over there. So what's going on at Nordonia?
Yeah, that's a weird situation. Jess Matana starts the season as the number 1. He plays, what, a week or two? Then he's dropped all the way down on the depth chart to like 3 or 4, basically, where even the janitor doesn't see him. They bring in the new kid at quarterback. And I think if there's a weak spot, an Achilles heel to Nordonia, it's the fact that they don't have that solidified, athletic, get-it-done guy under center. And that might come to hurt them down the stretch. We talked about Brunswick, you know, later on down the line, and if they, obviously it looks like they will get into the playoffs, who they might play. Nordonia loses 1 or 2 games in conference play, they could drop to a 6, 7, or 8. Now, if whatever happens behind the scenes and the Smetana kid gets inserted back under center, it might be a different look team.
If Smetana's even there. There's already rumors that he's going everywhere. There's like 4 or 5
Where can he go? He's a high school kid. He should be in high school. All you got
to do, yeah, you know how that works.
It's not like we're talking about college athletes.
But you know how that works. My kid's not playing up, suddenly he moves.
Well, you know, and that's kind of a tough situation at any place. You have to have certain rules, and you got to deal with kids, and parents get involved, and it becomes a nightmare. And sometimes, you know, and it probably isn't the kid's fault, but somebody gets branded like that, and he might want to go a lot of places, but there might be a lot of places that don't want him to come there and bring all that baggage with him, and especially in a good, solid program where you don't want that kind of situation arising in your program by bringing somebody like that in here.
Yeah, and he had 2 years at Walsh. He was behind the Snyder kid over there. He's a great athlete, nice young man. I've had a chance to meet him. It's just obviously a challenging situation this season for him over there with the Knights.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about Nordonia. Let's talk about the Northeast Ohio Conference teams. I was looking at some of the teams, and it looks to me there's probably 7 or 8 legitimate playoff teams in that, with Brunswick, Strongsville, Solon, Mayfield. Mayfield beat Solon last week, Nordonia, Twinsburg, and maybe even Garfield Heights.
Garfield Heights, I think you can knock out of the equation because his Lakewood Rangers beat him last week, so that pretty much said.
Well, then maybe Lakewood steps into that spot. You know, maybe Lakewood steps into that spot.
I don't think that, as much as Ron Lewis would like to have that happen, I don't see that occurring either.
Garfield Heights, for some reason, their defense was good at the beginning of the year, but they really didn't play anybody. They're going to get into the Mayfields. They're going to get into the Nordonias.
Nice team, but they're just not at that next level. They're not. They don't have the physicality, the strength.
They have the best player in Ohio, though.
Fellows.
Oh.
Yeah. But all right, so legitimately, you may get 4 or 5 schools out of the conference, you know, making playoff appearances.
Brunswick, Strongsville, Solon, Mayfield. Anybody else?
Solon, I think Solon's going to be on the outside looking in.
Solon's a bubble team because they're Region 1, aren't they?
They're Region 1, Division 1, and there's a lot of tough teams. And what's really tilted that table is that Glenville right now is the #1 seed, which shoves everybody down. And it's possible now, especially when they get into the conference play, that Glenville will go 10-0, and they'll keep that top spot, which is going to bump everybody down. And Solon really needs to win out and get help, in my opinion, to get in.
I agree.
Mayfield looked good last year against Normandy in the playoffs, but they graduated a lot of kids, and they're going to have a tough road to hoe, I think, too. I mean, let's not forget, as good as Olmsted Falls is, even though they're 1-4 at this part of the season, that's still an Olmsted Falls team that beat the Cats over there at Mayfield. So that was a game I think that Mayfield needed to win if you're going to talk to them contending for a conference championship and moving on.
Mayfield needs to find some offense too. You can't live on defense. You can't live on defense. Eventually you're going to have to put up some points.
So the conference overall looks pretty good, and as Rich would call them, the Saints in the area appear to be alive and well. St. Ignatius, St. Ed's, Walsh, Padua, Benedictine, St. V's, those teams all to be pretty solid.
Yeah, Benedictine, being in a smaller division, I think you're going to see them make a lot of noise. They're still right there in the middle of the pack for the playoffs, right now at the midway point. They play a tough schedule. You know, you put on a uniform at Benedictine, you better be ready to go to war because of just who they play. And they've done a good job. They're hovering around that 500 mark. They get on a little streak, win 2-3 games, sneak in there with a 6, 7, 8 win season. Yeah, and then they'll kick in the afterburners like Brad says. They're just going to take off because there's no team in that division, that type of play, that plays that schedule. I mean, they've got great athletes there.
And when they do make the playoffs, you see it every time. As soon as they get in the playoffs, the teams they play are just overwhelmed because they're not used to seeing what Benedictine saw. So,
and we talk about overrated teams. I think St. Edward's overrated. I think they get more hype than they deserve. I guess the proof will be in the pudding when the postseason comes around, how many games they win. And of course, if they get in. You know, they still have a tough way to go. Overachievers, I think St. Ignatius has overachieved. The staff up there has done a great job with the Wildcats to get them off to a 4-1 start. Again, a brutal schedule for them. But as I wrote down as a note to come into our show here, I think Boardman's a surprise. Boardman in Division I, 5-0, beating teams soundly. And even Avon in Division III.
Great quarterback at Avon.
Yeah, Avon's one of those teams that up to the north in Lorain County, they've got the skilled people and they hit hard on defense. This might be the year that they win 2 or 3 games in the playoffs. And they're not playing in Coldwater's region anymore. Nobody ever wants to take that bus ride to Coldwater, 3 hours only to get thumped by the Cavaliers down there, who, by the way, are unbeaten again, too, down there.
Yeah. Any other surprises so far this year that you see?
Talmadge at 3-2 is a surprise to me.
3-2. Well, that was the score against the Highland. You know, if they hadn't given up the 2-run double, it would have been 3-0.
I was there. The kid fell on his butt too on the kick, and it still was good. But you know what? It was a great defensive game. I'm telling you what, though, put that game on a dry day. I think Talmadge wins the game.
And I didn't see it. I mean, sure, they beat Medina, but there was times the minute that Medina did something in that game, the whole sideline went silent like it was a wake over there for Hudson. It was a very, very low-key group of kids that needs to have some of that dirty 30 mentality.
Barberton's a team that's going up. They're not going to win. They're not going to go 7-3. They gave Talmadge all they can handle last week in a 21-14 loss. Who'd they knock off? They beat somebody in week 2.
Oh, I don't know. I can't remember
I can't remember who it was.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was Medina.
Mm-hmm. Medina keeps coming up, you know, as somebody beats all the time. You know, but you keep saying they're going to come back and they got the best quarterback in the area.
They certainly do have the best quarterback in the area. But
Nick Canarum, I still think you're the best in the county, baby.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, that leads me to this. I got to tell you, you got to give a lot of credit to Rick Manko. Here's
Rick
a kid
Manko's a good
that was a
quarterback.
tremendous defensive back last year, wants to play defense, and has really taken one for the team and strapped down the quarterback position and carries the team on his shoulders and is really having a phenomenal season. You got to give him a lot of credit because he's not doing something he particularly wanted to do. Maybe he does now because of the success he's having, but at the beginning of the year, it was a struggle for him because I know that's not what he wanted to do.
And I saw him in week 3, and then I saw him again last week. And just in that 2 weeks,
Getting a lot better.
A lot going from Brexville, which was a great game, by the way.
Right.
To last week against Normandy, he looks
Making much better decisions with the football.
phenomenal decisions.
Bingo.
Much better. And you know what? Not overthrowing his wide receivers, which he did a lot in week 3.
Well, and he's not trying to throw the football through through everybody. I mean, he's getting a little touch on the
You read my
football.
mind. Yeah, he isn't forcing things. He's letting the flow of the game come to him and not trying to do anything that's beyond his capabilities. And I think that's what impressed me the most when I had a chance to see him this year, is Rick did a nice job of playing within the system. And that's not an easy thing to do at Brunswick because there's so many things going on, so much of an expectation from students in the hallways to parents. Well, I certainly hope you enjoyed part 1 of our television program tonight, and that was my guest appearance on Brunswick City Schools TV 22 show, The Beat. Roundtable Forum, I went toe-to-toe there with Brad Bournival of the Morning Journal, sharing our thoughts on high school football, and also the show's host, Grant Relic.
Farley. Herkler now with the basketball. And he'll give it back to Barbado. Give and go back to Herkler. A 3 short off the iron. Tipped into the air by the Green Wave. And they do come down with a rebound. Augustin with the board. Augustin on the dribble. And he just got slammed from behind. As soon as he brought it over the timeline, Justin turns for Vermillion. Long 3 up. Counted. Dialing in from the right corner. Yurkak with 5. The 6'2 senior. Catching a little fire here in the first quarter for the Green Wave. Pushes the Vermillion deficit At 5, Green Wave leads 10-5. Sailors basketball. Farley moves into the paint and then kicks it back out front, working the dribble. Turner. Clark now with the basketball as that zone jumps out to guard him for the Green Wave. Playing in the middle of the zone right now is Matt Heben, the 6'5 junior. Long three, up and count it. Nick Farley.
Farley shot that one from NBA range.
Green Wave set to inbound. Augustin with the basketball, guarded by Herkler. 7 seconds to play. Green Wave looking for that last shot, moving inside. Yurkak fadeaway right corner. Oh my, he drilled it. Yurkak hit it as the first quarter comes to a conclusion here from Westlake High School. Left side, basketball Herkler. Give and go, right side. Farley from 3, high pill off the back of the iron, tapped into the air. Rebound grab by Farley, put back up and in by the Sailors as time comes to a conclusion here. Zeros on the scoreboard. Farley with 7, and he pulls the Sailors to within 8 at the intermission. Our score, Holy Name 23, Vermillion 15.
Now, as promised, the second half of our show still deals with high school football, but this is where we follow Highland High School into the playoffs last fall. Highland, the Hornets in black, from eastern Medina County out in Granger Township, will take on Sylvania Southview, a school from the Toledo area. Southview in the all-white, Hornets again in the black with the green numerals. So here we go. Highland against Sylvania Southview, high school football, the regional championship in Division II, next on One Man Show.
Tony Morgano, I'm the Highland Hornet here. This game's a big one. We have to win it to move on. Obviously, you know, it's a big game for me because I want to see my team move on. It's a big game for the guys out here because, you know, they're the ones out here pouring their hearts. I've been doing this Hornet gig for 3 years now. I love it. It's so much fun. I love to see the smiles on the fans' faces. I love to see the smiles on the football players. And it's just a great time. And hopefully we win tonight. I have a feeling we will. So let's go Hornets.
Now with all this rain here, what's that going to do to your Hornet outfit? Are you going to be a wet bee tonight?
Hey man, Hornets flock. They fly in the rain. They fly in the rain.
Hey, show everybody at home your stinger.
All right, here it is.
Hey now! All right, here we get a little high five on camera.
Their assignments, make sure they get their contained. Also, Highland's going to have to pass the football early, I think, a little bit, Coach Rob, especially maybe to Huska and some of these kids. Maybe try to find some space. Keep the passing game in the mind of the Sylvania defense. Otherwise, they're going to load up that box, and it might be a little tough tonight for Snook to get free.
Well, I think it comes down to what most big games with great teams have between the two of them. I think it comes down to turnovers and maybe special team play. You know, I think if the receivers can't hold on to the football, if they turn the ball over, I think that could lead to some difficulty for Southview because it gets into possessions, and Highland's the kind of team that can make you feel a little sense of urgency because they hold the ball so long. Same thing with Highland. They can't put the ball on the ground.
Responsibly and show courtesy and respect for your fellow fans.
Second and 10, hand up to Snook across the 45.
Number 56, Brandon Warner on the stop for the Hornets.
I don't know about about the Southview football team, but we're going to find out if it stays this way tonight. We'll touch on that as we go through the evening. They've blown everybody out this year. 2nd and 9. There goes the handoff. It's getting the ball to the 10-yard line to the 9. Coming out of the receiver position is Maslowski.
Good evening. I'm your host, Z Zoltai, from the studios here of One Man Show. We're watching Highland Hornets playoff football. Now, Highland could move the ball. They were able to offensively get up and down the field on Sylvania Southview here in this game, but they lost 3 fumbles on the night. And anybody that follows sports knows you can't turn the ball over when you're in such a big game and against such a good opponent as Sylvania Southview. Now, here you're about to see Hornet tailback Chris Snook fumble away what would be one of several fumbles on the night. This one here, though, Snook fumbles away a would-be Highland touchdown. 58 seconds remained in the football game. This is for all the marbles to go on to the state semifinals. Again, with 58 seconds left to go at Huron, also known as Kalahari Field, Highland now faced with 4th and goal. Their final chance to tie the game is at hand. They'd call again upon number 44, Chris Snook, to try to get into the end zone. To date, though, what you're about to see is one of the most controversial high school football referee calls I've ever had a chance to see, and also had a chance to tape and show you, the viewers at home. Watch now as Snook tries to get across the goal line. Oh, man, Highland got robbed on that. I think Snook breaks the plane of the goal line by extending the ball with his arms across the end zone line. His body, I don't think, had quite touched the ground. You can see he's still going down. Tacklers underneath him, his knees have not touched the ground. His forward momentum, it hadn't been stopped yet. You decide, though. You, the viewers, decide. I'm going to replay this clip for you a couple more times, forward and back. You watch and decide, and we'll see then, afterwards, if we still agree, if Snook actually got into the end zone. Well, I don't know if that was conclusive enough for all of you out there at home or wherever you may be watching One Man Show tonight, but I think Snook clearly breaks the plane. I think the shadow, as you can see underneath the ball from the stadium lights at Kalahari Field in Huron, indicate that he got over. I don't think his body was ever down on the ground, but the officials waved it off, said no touchdown, Highland loses, and Sylvania would go on to the state Final Four in high school football in the Division II last fall. So many congratulations just the same to Highland High School and their great run. They came up short 28-21 till Sylvania. Now the one time that we get every so often to go to the mailbag is upon us, and I know many of you have been waiting anxiously here tonight for this part of our episode this evening. Our first letter here to One Man Show is from Amy Frederick in Lakewood. Amy and her friends want to know when I'm ever going to do a show here on badminton, maybe feature the sport. I don't know. I'll have to get back to you on that one, Amy, because I'm not so sure when I would ever get around to doing a show on badminton. If we can find a way to zest it up a little bit, maybe we could make that happen. But Amy also writes in and had a question about the game of badminton, and that being her and her girlfriends have a little bit of a debate going on is, besides the name birdie for badminton, what other name is the badminton birdie named? What else is it known as? Well, ladies, I can confirm that the badminton birdie is also known as the shuttlecock, and we'll put that there at the bottom of the screen for everybody at home to take a look at. And Amy also wants to know, what is a badminton birdie officially made of? The real birdies, not the ones out of plastic you get at the 5 and dime store. Well, they're made of real bird feathers. That's right, real bird feathers make up badminton birdies, and they come from geese. This even gets better. Badminton birdies are made from goose feathers, and only the feathers from the left wing of the goose. Believe it or not, that's true. So, and then finally, I guess a lot of you may have not known this, but badminton originated in India. It was a sport called Pune. That's right, Pune. British soldiers, back in the days of colonialization, brought it back from the country of India, and that's how we got the sport of badminton. Thank you very much, Amy, for your letter here to One Man Show. Randy Kennicott in Parma Heights writes me and wants to know, who are the most famous people I've ever had here on One Man Show? That's a great question, Randy, and I'll be happy to answer it. Ohio State women's head basketball coach Jim Foster. Two-time Heisman winner Archie Griffin has made an appearance on the show. Les Miles, in a telephone interview on one of my radio programs, was also a guest on the show. The head football coach at LSU, formerly of Michigan, Oklahoma State. Les is originally an Elyria native, too. Speaking of Elyria, Tiana Madison of Elyria, when she had set the world's long jump record at the University of Tennessee. Tiana is a former Elyria native. Melanie Murphy of Brook Park, when she was Miss Ohio. I had her on One Man Show at one point in time. Larry Nance and Mark Price, former Cleveland Cavaliers, as well as Larry Nance, Cleveland Cavaliers general manager. And also, it's been a while now, but Jason Taylor, when he was in Akron Zip, was on the show. Of course, Jason Taylor, an all-pro NFL defensive player now for the Miami Dolphins. And so we've had him on the program. The list is too numerous to go on, and we're almost out of time, so I won't be able to get to everybody. But Randy, thank you for writing in. And finally, Alexis Keller wrote in from Garfield Heights, and she wants to know what some of my favorite places to get pizza from here in the Cleveland, Northeast Ohio area are. I'll be happy to answer you on this, Alexis. Santos Pizza and Pasta. I'll get it out. In Middleburg Heights, I love going there. They also have great chicken parmesan. Alfonso's on West 130th in North Royalton. Angelo's in Lakewood. Outstanding pizza up there. Antonio's in Parma. Yala's in Lorraine. And Dante's on Rocky River Drive in Berea. I hope you enjoyed this episode of One Man Show. Keep watching each and every week. I'm your host, Z Zoltai. Good night, everybody.